'Tis the holidays, a time when many people return to their family homes to eat, drink, maybe be merry. But from buried animosity toward a sibling to parental disapproval, managing family dynamics during a time meant to be joyful and celebratory can be very tough. For more on why this happens and how to manage it, we're joined by Dr. Jaleh Shahin. She is a registered psychologist. Doctor, first of all, what are some familiar family tension points during holiday gatherings?
Well, there's quite a few actually. So the holidays can be a really joyful, exciting time, but it can also be an emotionally very complex period of time for people. And that could be for all different reasons from, some family members may be experiencing a mental illness. There can be a lot of family dynamics. There could even be a history of family trauma, for example, that people are trying to navigate. There could be grief that people experience because they've lost a loved one, or relationships are not in the right place, or there could be a marriage breakdown that people are trying to navigate. There could also be substance use concerns or disordered eating, eating disorders. So there's a lot of different reasons why things, we build up all these expectations around the holidays about having this picture perfect time together. And unfortunately, that's not many people's experience. And so the backdrop of those expectations that can also compound kind of some of the emotional complexity that people experience.
It's a layered issue for sure. What are some of the general tips that you offer to your patients that come to you with these problems?
Yeah, so if people know they can reasonably anticipate that they're going to have some tense moments with family. For example, the same family member has been critical or disapproving year after year after year. Chances are that they're not going to suddenly change overnight. And so one of the things that we talk about and we recommend is being really planned and intentional. So if you know that some family members get along really well with each other, seeing if you can seat them together as opposed to kind of putting the people that historically don't get along together, having very specific topics of conversation in mind that are neutral, and staying away from inflammatory type topics. And if an inflammatory topic does come up, maybe gently redirecting the conversation to a more neutral. And if all of that fails, we do say having a plan in place. So I call it the graceful exit plan. If you feel emotionally unsafe, ensuring that you have a plan in place about how do you limit your time, or is there a way that you could gracefully exit the situation, take a breather, come back, or potentially leave earlier. So rather than spending an entire day with family that you don't feel emotionally safe with, maybe you just spend a few hours in the evening. So being really planned about it. But the general rule of thumb is, unfortunately, other people's reactions, what they do, what they say, can't control, but your reaction's the only piece that you can control. Having a plan in place is helpful.
And I have to ask quickly, if you go back to old environments like a childhood home, can bring back all sorts of vivid memories, affect how we act in the present time. Why does that happen?
So we call them memory cues. So generally speaking, our brain can create these cues and memories from different experiences and different environments. And sometimes being back in a childhood home brings up a lot of those old memories and old emotions. And so, for example, if someone has experienced trauma, for example, a lot of those traumatic memories can come up, certain emotional experiences may come up. And so it's very common for people to experience that. And sometimes people will notice that when they're back in a childhood home, some previous dynamics may come up really automatically. So if they have a very kind of child parent relationship, for example, those same dynamics may come up as soon as they're back in that environment. It's very common.
Dr. Jaleh Shahin, we appreciate your time and your perspective. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.